Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Star Trek Discovery. Caliban, aka Aaron Coker, and I knew that Captain Girlfriend would be a bite hider. I knew that. I could just tell that about her. She's going to hide the zombie bite. Joining me, as usual, is my co-host. She's also the co-host of the Generations Geek podcast, a more or less family-friendly celebration of geekdom. It's Ella Pearson. Ella, welcome back to Discoverage.
Thank you. How's our delay doing?
We're doing a little bit of delay tonight here, and I will try to I'll try to load the front part of my questions for Ella so that I can just sort of trail off and then she can just kind of come in. But we're going to do our best here because it's a big number of technical difficulties. Let's just skip right through talking about any kind of news, obviously on the strike front. The actors say about that when we return later in the year. But let's just get right into it. And we've seen the 10th episode of the second season of Strange New Worlds, the second season of So Be Warned. We're glad you decided to join us, but spoilers are incoming. The official synopsis for Hegemony is: when the USS Enterprise investigates an attack on a colony at the edge of Federation space, Captain Pike and his crew face the return of a formidable enemy. The episode was written by Henry Alonzo Myers, directed by Maya Vervillo, and the stardate for the episode is 2344.2. Rory Scott. Martin Quinn is the fourth actor to portray the role of Scotty on television. Of course, James Doohan originated the role, and Matthew Wolfe voiced the character. I don't know if that's really appearing as the character, but was the voice of a Scott in the episode A Quality of Mercy. And Wolfe were both English actors. And one fun fact before we get started with our discussion, the symbol that we see, Delta Canon, whatever the third Greek letter is, but it was used in the Star Trek Prodigy episode Masquerade, and now it makes its appearance in live action. So we are all synced up as far as that goes. What did you think, Ella? What did you think about the episode Hegemony?
I feel, first and foremost, I feel like, when they have a news outlet has like the intern out in the hurricane?
Yeah, right.
And they're like trying to...
Everything.
I was a little disappointed.
Do tell. Talk more
and
about
we know I have a hard time being negative. I'll do my, and maybe this is like exacerbated by like my partner is at my house, and so I was like, you can watch. The only action scene was in slow motion with two characters that I know live.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Your note about suspense. At this point, like, we've got two characters who literally. If you were going to kill her, you think you would do it like right away.
No.
She's not going to die in the second half of a two-parter, and you would say showed you that to make you think, oh no, Hammer, you just take a bet. Are you thinking?
I was like, great, now she's gonna die, and even so she's not in the original series, so she's gonna die, and I was like, maybe. Like it's she's not her own person. She shows up to be. It was like, oh, she's gonna die. I was kind of like, what, but I didn't really feel a lot of like.
I like the fact that they're in a colony planet. That's old school, TOS. They beam down somewhere that's got a barber shop and a parking lot and stuff like that, which I have a longer rant about later. But I thought it was funny that they had to explain, oh, this is one of those like suburb type colonies. They're trying this out where they have a malt shop and people wear. We're on the Mayberry set. The thing that they were like, oh no, it's supposed to look like this. We're not saving money by shooting on the Paramount lot, but who cares? I mean, it's a sci-fi show. We all get like how.
I was watching That's Dead.
Okay. Oh, that would be perfect. We all know what they're doing. We all know that it's a zombie movie. So the fact that they need to like call out, and sometimes they call that on the internet a lampshade. I'm not exactly sure why. It'd be crazy if we ended up in a shopping mall, right? Everybody, like you're kind of calling out that you're doing something. I don't know why they feel the need to do that. Like we already know we're watching a show that ranges across all kinds of genres, and I have an entire podcast called Backtracking where I talk about the thing people know, because if we don't say that there's a zombie, they'll think that we think that they don't know we know they're doing a thing. if that makes sense.
Um, they're doing a zombie movie, but they're also just doing Alien again. Which,
Yes.
like, at least the last time they did Alien, somebody who has never seen Star Trek, I was like, it's kind of like Alien. They're
Yeah.
sort of doing Alien. And then it cuts to the full grown Gorn.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
My
And I
girlfriend
know
pointed
it's
out.
hard. I know it's hard because we're at this point, and especially right now where like sci-fi has been so prevalent for decades, and like
Mm,
it's hard to design something that isn't going to look like something before. I feel like we talk about this with like storylines. It's going to be hard to write a story
yeah.
that you're not going to be able to compare to some other story
Yeah.
in like the history of time.
Mm,
But the helmet, I was like, please, beautiful, but
yeah.
it looks like a xenomorph.
Yeah. Like backtracking at backtracking on Twitter, backtracking with 3Ks, and she went and she shot a virus, and it's like I don't have any problem with that, but like, what are you adding to this? If this is your pastiche thing in her, so the alien like leaves her alone. Uh, so is that there's a thing that's happened definitely on this show, maybe in some of the other shows, but not all of them. There's a reason that in these questions, because otherwise it's just like a list of things that happen. And sometimes there are episodes that are sort of TNT on, and it's just them like we got to work the thing out and then push the button and do the thing, and they fix it and they're all back to normal again, and that's fine. But even in that, there's kind of a conflict because there's the storyline where Troy is in charge because she's the only person on the bridge who's of the highest rank, but she has no bridge experience and she doesn't really know what to do, and so she's trying to maintain order, and she's got Ro telling her, "You don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead and do this." And Troy's like, "You can't do that. I'm head first. So mean and like where's it going?" And I know that they feel that they don't know how to talk to the Gorn, so maybe that's not an option. But I just feel like Picard would have like talked to. We don't seem to have that option here in the 50s, the 2250s.
I also, so this is maybe a separate note. I lost you for a little bit during that. And first of all, watching Chapel wake up on the Cayuga, obviously, as the only person to survive the bombing, apparently,
Yeah.
and or just get abandoned.
Yeah.
Um, but she wakes up, she sees the Enterprise, and she's gonna Morse code with a flashlight
Yeah, something like that. Sure.
to get the attention of the Enterprise. I'm like, how close is the Enterprise? And that's the shot. I was like, please, why are they doing my man like that? Could they have made him look a little bit cool?
Yeah. Too much
Maybe?
foreshortening. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. It just. I don't know what to say. I mean, the idea of having like the zero, like I think zero G Gorn fight is like that's a card on a board. That sounds really cool, but maybe if it was like Sam Kirk doing it, and you're like, Sam Kirk's not gonna die, right? I mean, they couldn't kill Sam Kirk, but just having it be like Chapel and Spock, I get that it's, they've been separated now. This is something where they're. Let's talk about some particulars in the episode. What did you think about them introducing Montgomery Scott?
I I'm starting to have like a thing where they bring in,
Yeah.
but I'm also like, I feel like you shouldn't be here. You know? It
Yeah.
feels like someone, and not to be a boomer about it, it feels like someone stepping on the butterfly, you know?
Mm.
Like, why is Kirk on the Enterprise so much? Frankly, I was shocked he didn't show up in this episode.
The
And then when
boom,
the
the boom of
clown comes
thunder,
out with the British
a
accent,
sound of thunder,
British,
stepping on a butterfly. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I'm interrupting. Sorry.
exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, um, we're used to not having a delay. That's why I keep laughing when you speak, because I'm like, this will show up fine. It's a delay. Um, he starts talking, and I'm like, they're not gonna do this to me, man. Are they gonna do this to me now in this episode, the finale episode? They're gonna do this to me? And then I was like, I just felt very conflicted. I don't know if it was like, yeah, it's great. It's great to see Scotty. It's very funny that he has this thing with Pelia. Like, that's great. But I'm also like, think about how much more fun it would have been if we saw Kirk 0 times. James Kirk 0 times in the series, if then at the end in the finale, then Scotty, or if we saw Kirk once at the beginning because he's visiting his brother, you know?
Yeah.
But we've seen him so many times, then I was like, all right, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah, or what if Pelia is the one to... Every time you bring in a character that we know in, you're taking away from the new characters. Michigan, and people decided they were going to get in a horse. And so that's how, this kind of reminds me of this thing that I'm making now. They've introduced this character that supposedly has so much history and so much talent, and she's just there for other people to go, oh, you know me. Yeah, I know you. Okay, we know each other. I just don't really get why. But the thing is, I don't think it's going to stop. I think that this is just what it is going to be from now on. I think that they could have made the show literally just the TOS crew, and people probably would have gotten mad, but they couldn't do nothing, and so I think they're just going to have little bits of TOS crew, and they'll sort of like cast them. This is their... Well, I mean, at this point, what do you think about this? What do you think about... Here's our Scotty. Maybe we'll have a Sulu later. Maybe we'll try all these things out. So I think that's kind of what they're doing.
Not the Sulu. It's like, if the end game is to whatever season that is,
right?
If the end game was for that last season, to put Kirk on the Enterprise, and then whoever's missing, let's say maybe Sulu doesn't get a cameo, Sulu's missing, and then they're like, oh my god, we need a... Oh my god, what is it? Navigation? What does he do?
Sulu? He flies the ship, and he fires the phasers. I think technically...
This is called away, right? He's like, oh my god, but we need someone to fly the ship.
So
and she's like, well, I know this kid.
It's not a Trojan horse.
It's like...
It's a ship of Theseus.
If the final episode is like, then we put the last puzzle piece in, cut to credits, and that's fine, but I just wonder why they're coming in so heavy this season with Kirk, and maybe I shouldn't even be complaining about it, but it just feels like you said, you're pointing out a number of episodes that Garrick was in DS9 versus the amount of episodes that Kirk has been in just this season of Strange New Worlds. It is an outrageous ratio.
Yeah.
And I hope he's getting paid fairly for it.
Yeah, it's put this up, this is ours. It's the Starship of Theseus. They're going to slowly, one by one, take out all the Strange New Worlds characters, put in the TOS characters, and that last shot will be Kirk going, let's see what's out there, and that's the last scene of Strange New Worlds.
Mm-hmm. The last shot's like a 5-year mission. I like the sound of that.
Yeah. Well, I ain't paying child support. Hit it. Yeah, right. Okay. So speaking of the last episode, do you think the show's coming back? I mean, it's very brave of them to end on a cliffhanger when we don't know if there's going to be a third season.
Are they not confirmed for a third season?
Well, they're confirmed, but at this point they can't make it, right? So, like, a lot of... When the CEOs are bragging, oh, we've, saved $100 million by force majeure canceling projects and just not moving forward with things. And so, I don't know. I mean, you can't say anything for certain when there literally is a stoppage of work.
I mean, they weren't... hopefully the strike won't have to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is brave. I think we're starting to look at a real delay in very grateful is through, selfishly very grateful is through, like, production, like, the second season of Loki and Percy Jackson are going to air, but I think towards the end of this year and early next year, I mean, I don't see an end to the strike. I think it's going to be long because these people meaning like the CEOs, it's like I saw a clip of, what's her name? Fran something, who's
Drescher.
the like head of SAG-AFTRA, and she was like, yes, and she was on this live stream with Bernie, and she was like, how do you speak to somebody who makes $40,000 a day more? How do you speak to somebody who makes $75,000 a day? Like, how do you tell them, like, hey man, guess what? You don't get to have like 3 vacation homes. Like, you don't get to have people wait on you every single day. Like, the amount of like privilege that these people have, like, I have no idea how long it's going to take for this to end. So I think I don't know. I don't. I think that probably they didn't realize that when they were making like the last episode, or they were hoping that it just wouldn't happen. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think we're looking at a wait. We're starting to get into a phase where I'm like really prepared that we're gonna have to wait for more Star Trek.
We'll definitely have to wait a while, assuming that it does come back for a third season. We'll be waiting longer than the summer of 1990. Too. It's going to be longer than that. So the fates of Mabenga and the rest of the landing party and everybody is up in the air until we know the answer. Well, it seems like unless you have any, let's look back at the second season of Strange New Worlds. And at the end of another season of Strange New Worlds, if you had to rate this in comparison with the first season, how would it measure up?
That's hard because I didn't rewatch the first season before starting the second season. I just
Yeah,
like threw myself into it.
yeah.
Um, I would say I would maybe rate the first season higher. I don't know. Maybe I'd have to go back and I think maybe I'd have to go back and watch it again, which I probably will, given that, like we said, we're looking at a wait for more Star Trek. But
Mhm.
um, the first season, I feel like what they had going for them is that sort of the joy and surprise of having new characters and also characters that we know and love on screen.
Yeah.
Um, and while I know that we and many others had some problems with the first season, it's the first season of a show. I can write those, and any errors in the first season I can write off pretty easily to it being a first season. You're going to iron stuff out.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I still think overall it was pretty good. There are lots of episodes this season where I was like so happy that they weren't sort of taking themselves too seriously, for like lack of a better phrase. I feel like probably I've said that before on the podcast, but like I love like an episode. It just reminds me so much of like watching the original series, and they start an episode and the premise, whatever the premise is like a little bit silly, and
Yeah.
instead of like a little silly like boop, 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 like I've loved that this season about how they're not afraid to like do like a musical episode. Like that's awesome. Like however, whatever we think of the musical episode, like it's awesome that they took that risk.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I do think the first season is better. What about you?
I think that it's stronger. Something that I've been thinking about just as this season has been playing is that I think that I think they're doing the best, and I think this there were more first in the first season there were more standalone episodes. I think, but that's an effect of not knowing these characters quite as well. And in the second season, I think more character focused, and so like I always go back to TNG, but what do you want from me? It's like a really Joe. Like the first season of TNG is like, oh, I hate kids. Oh, Riker's gonna go to the planet, and then maybe somebody comes in and they go, oh, there are episodes that are premised off of something that we already know, like Data's has to fight for his right, to party and to be, respected as a sentient being, and they're already just with 20 episodes, just just starting with the second season, they already have to tuck in and immediately start delving in. So like, I don't even remember what the first episode is about, the Broken Circle, but like Ad Astra, we're immediately resolving number one's problem. We're setting up the thing with Lon and tomorrow. Um, we're kind of doing a Pike's Past episode with Among the Lotus Eaters. Charades involves going back. And the effect is that, but they are standalone stories that have to be incredibly character focused, and they literally aren't just Captain Picard goes on vacation in a swimsuit. Um, I think when people were asking for standalone episodes, they were asking for contextless things that, with that, with these old scientists and Subspace Rhapsody. I mean, they're not delivering that, but it still feels like I don't know. I don't think that it's like I don't love it, but I don't think that it's bad. I think that there's probably and there I've seen there are viewers out there that this is perfect for them, but for me it's like I feel like they're trying hard to capture something that's recognizable, but they're not quite getting it. And I don't know if they should just strut and just do their own thing, or if there's some way that they could make it more like that, or if they should even really bother. But I still feel kind of uneasy, even though you can tell everybody on the show is doing a great job and they're doing their hardest. It's possible it might just go back to what I've mentioned before, my opinion that maybe we just shouldn't have picked up a 55-year-old pilot. Maybe it doesn't make any sense to try to make a show that is a precursor to that other show that started all this whole thing off, back in the 60s. But they're doing it. They are doing it. You can't take that away.
I also I also think they're being held back. It's I think it's important to mention the 10 episode season
Yeah.
is hard because they have to, there's not enough time for like, a Robin Hood episode. It would have to be about the overarching, whatever plot of the. I mean, 10 episodes is a short season. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And like doing the thing where they are slowly, let's do it, Starship of Theseusing TOS characters in, it takes even more time away from the original characters. In the chat, I just wanted to mention that Mika and Hana was talking about the musical episode. She said, in the musical episode, when Sam says to Jim, "Well," just going back to the idea of the insecurity, um, there's I think like with the singing episode, they have an entire song where they're like, "We're singing? Oh, we shouldn't be singing. Nobody's going to want to watch this." But it's like, just go ahead and have them sing. Looking back, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think that the crossover with Lower Decks and the musical episode were probably two of the strongest episodes and like the biggest, most admirable swings. Even though I don't wouldn't want a musical episode every week, but I do think that it's like, yeah, that's kind of what I thought I would be seeing from like a new Star Trek show.
The Lower Decks crossover is the first time in the
Oh,
same
okay.
week that it came out.
Okay, sure.
And the only other one I've done that with is the um I believe like the time loop episode with Mud in Discovery.
Yeah. Magic to make the sanest man go mad. Yeah. Um,
Thank you. Yes.
so would that be your favorite episode from this season?
Oh, easily.
Yeah. Um,
By far. But I think also for me, I'm so biased because I think genuinely we're at a point now where Lower Decks is my favorite Star Trek that's airing, and if they keep making it, it's gonna push my favorite Star Trek series, I think, honestly.
okay. If I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be Those Old Scientists.
I always
Was
say
pretty
people
fun.
ask me and I'm like, I'm gonna say that. Then I say Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. Um, do you just looking forward? Fingers crossed. Assuming there's going to be a third season, at this point, I guess I don't see why not. It's definitely the most successful Trek show. Um, is there something that you want to see explored in particular? We've got a few hanging plot threads that they're sort of looking at, but anything that you want them to continue to dive into?
Um I would love them to clean up the Chapel and Spock thing. Like if what happens is that essentially they had a situationship and then he got dumped. And so he's mad and she's trying to make up for it in the original series.
Mm.
That sounds great to me when they started the Chapel Spock thing. I wasn't sure how they were going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a genius. What they've done is like genius. Like I didn't expect. I don't know why I never thought this. Maybe I'm not a good enough feminist. I was like, well, clearly Spock will dump her.
Right.
Bigger and something to Pike thing with La'an and whether our man Kirk is in theory a womanizer, but like just something with her. I would love to know the Noonien Singh stuff. I would love for that to come back up. I don't know, I
Yeah.
don't know how or why they would manage it. I don't know, but she was the other character that I thought of where I'm like, and maybe it's just because the actress is so phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's so, and when they give her those scenes, she is like just amazing to watch, like astounding, honestly.
Yeah, I would also like to see that they find some way to because Khan is still out to do. It occurred to me, I hope that she just gets over it and then just has like a personality and we run with it because she's basically Tasha Yar, isn't she? She's like a security officer. She doesn't want to be too feminine and show emotion, but
She'd be gone by now if she was Tasha.
well, right, yeah, but I mean, but that's kind of what their character arc was for Tasha Yar. So I hope that they find something kind of more for her. Same with Ortegas. I really hope that they find something for flying the ship, but I hope that they find more for her. I'd like to. I'm not so. I don't care so much about like why Mabenga is on the Enterprise and is not the chief medical officer and Bones is instead. It doesn't really matter to me. But I hope that they find some way to continue to develop. Go to jail for a little while for killing that guy. But I hope that they continue to reap good rewards telling stories about war, because I think that the Star Trek has done that. Not come back to Cybok. Come on, give me some Cybok. What's up? Stop
I
stop
totally
teasing us.
forgot about Cybok.
Yeah, so maybe do something with that. I always thought that he was a great character who could be salvaged from that movie. That it's bad, but it's good parts about. And let's see what we can get done with that.
I don't think I told this story on the podcast before, so you can, stop me as much as you can with the delay if I have.
Okay.
When I was at shore leave, Cybok or Spock being, sitting next to, I don't know if Cybok was my brother, I think I would lie about it too. And it made me laugh so hard.
That's it. Vulcans can lie about family. That's
a good
fine.
take.
That's a freebie.
Exactly. Also, I would love to see Mbenga go to jail, frankly.
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm just making it a little too black and white. It feels like what happened is he was like, "You're taking credit for my murders, pal."
Hey, yeah.
And then
It's
killed him for it.
It's an episode of Hannibal.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. And I would love, because but he's still like a Klingon ambassador for peace. Like that's still like an outstanding thing to do.
Sure.
That he can't do anymore because now he is dead.
Now he is
dead.
Yes.
Mega killed him. So.
Yeah, something else that I'd like to see, and if they have this plan where they're going to hashtag Starship of Theseus everything, they have like almost 10 years until TOS, right? So I would like to see them perhaps stretch in Battlestar Galactica, but something where maybe we see, like maybe Jess Bush is off the show for just 1 or 2 episodes, but that represents the 3 or 4 months where she was on this thing, and people change and things happen. Then Mabenga could like go to jail, and we could maybe like see him in jail for an episode, and then yada yada yada. He gets out because, well, let's face it, it's space communism. He's going to get out of jail. They just go, don't do that again. Or like Lon wants to pursue her genetic heritage, and she ends up, pursuing that, going somewhere else. Something that we haven't seen a lot is, and this happens more on TNG than on TOS, but like a character, or DS9 for sure, a character like, hey Dad, can I borrow a shuttlecraft? And then they just like go off and they're just like doing something else on some other complete planet, having their own kind of story. I don't know if that's in the cards for their sort of, TOS-esque show that they've got, but you've got these great characters, they've got interesting premises, and they've got great hooks. Just keep following up on them. That's what I say, and I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I mean, they, we come on here and we criticize it, and that's part of making art, is that it's going to be criticized, and that's fine. But they've got an amazing team behind the show. Yeah. I look forward to it so much every week, and it is so much fun. And I look forward to, their next season whenever they're able to make it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think dark clouds that there may be, if there is any Star Trek going forward, there will definitely be a 3rd season of Strange New Worlds, I think. And so we will be here to cover it in the future, but that is it for our show this week. Thanks for joining us, listeners. And if you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTPOD to get updates and to get notified when our show is live and broadcasting. Tweet to us on the show by using the hashtag Discoverage, or email us at EISTPOD@gmail.com. And while you're on the internet, why not head to your listening platform of choice and subscribe to our show, Enterprising Individuals. Give us a like, give us a rating and a review. If you want to help the show grow, it really does help us out. And also, if you like the show, tell a friend and share it on social media. Well, that's it. Close it up. That's it. Close the bar down. No more dancing on the tables. That's it for Strange New Worlds for this season. But our show, Discoverage, will return on September 7th at 8 p.m. for the 4th season premiere of Lower Decks, an episode that we don't know anything about, but I'm sure it will continue on in the Lower Decks style. So we'll be here then on September the 7th to cover it and going live. In the meantime, since we're closing up this season here, I just want to say you can check out our show, Enterprising Individuals, check out Backtrekking. Both of those are available wherever you get your podcasts. And we don't just talk about Star Trek here on Twitch. We also do the usual Twitch thing, which is stream video games. Every 12 p.m. Central weekdays, I'm here doing the Laser Lunch Hour, where I have a little lunch, play some video games, and talk about nerdy topics, sometimes Star Trek as well. And also, if you'll check our schedule in the About down here on Twitch, we also have other events and other live streams. Hit the heart and the bell icon if you haven't, and subscribe to us here. Get notified when we are live and broadcasting. Ella, thanks as always for joining me to talk about tonight's episode of Strange New Worlds and remind people where they can find you online.
I am at Gondor Gold on everything. Please follow me, tweet at me. And everyone follow Star Trek Unlimited for all of your Star Trek content, especially with Lower Decks about to come out.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check out Ella's show that she does with her dad, author Scott Pearson, Generations Geek, at generationsgeek.com. I'm also on Twitter at K-A-1-I-B-A-N. And you can find all of the content on the Just Enough Trope Network at Just Enough Trope on Twitter or justenough-trope.com. And that is it for us. Thanks for listening, and we're signing off. This is Aaron for Ella saying live long and prosper.